Enemas. A lot of people don't know about enemas today anymore. How many of you remember I know many of you do, remember the old red bags that used to hang on the back of the bathroom door? Right? Yeah. No, you're probably an 80s baby. 80, 2000. Mercy. You would know about the red bag, right? Don't worry. You're gonna see a picture of the red enema bag. Colonics, fasting, skin brushing, juices, herbal teas. All of these are methods of detoxification. Well, what I'm going to show you now, you can keep going. I went over this. The first clip I'm going to show you is a clip of Dr. Michael Greger, and he's going to be talking about a method or something that cleanses the body. While they're getting that up and running, there are, and you'll let me know when you have it up and running. There are portable saunas that you can purchase. You're on your own. That costs less than $100, and it is very health promoting. This is something that you can travel with, all right? Something you can place, just have there in one of the bathrooms, what have you. You have it? Okay. And when you get into the sauna and you begin to sweat, impurities, toxins begin to come out through the pores of the skin, right? Let me tell you this. I learned this from a Dr. Lee. He's a medical doctor. And he was using activated charcoal and niacin. Niacin is vitamin B3. Um, During 9/11, a lot of the first responders, like the firemen or what have you, that responded to the buildings that made it out alive, a lot of them ended up with different sicknesses. All right? Because of the substances that were in the building materials and so forth. Some ended up disabled and what have you and had to retire early. There's a particular fireman, retired fireman, that retired because of disability. Dr. Lee talked about detoxification of this individual. What he did was he gave the individual, this fireman, activated charcoal and also niacin, vitamin B3. Got him to do a little bit of exercise and then went into the sauna. After coming out of the sauna, he was sweating and so forth. And the towel that was used to wipe this individual had a blue substance on it. And what they discovered was that this fireman, his disability was caused by excess manganese in his system that he received during 9/11. So activated charcoal is something that is very important that all homes should have. All homes should have activated charcoal. But what he did, he used the sauna to cause him to sweat, and it began to come out of his pores. But niacin, what does that do? Niacin, B3. Niacin, when you take it, you begin to get a flush. You begin to feel tingling on the body. And some of us, depending on the complexion, we begin to see more red, a reddish color on our skin. What's happening is the smaller blood vessels towards the surface of our skin begin to open up more and more blood begins to flow. And so what they did, they used niacin to cause more blood flow to come to the surface of the skin, activated charcoal to capture toxins and poisons that were being released, and also the sauna to release some of the toxins through the skin. Very simple and very powerful. This fireman was no longer disabled. Niacin, exercise, activated charcoal, sauna. That was the only thing they did for this individual. Do we have sound now? Yeah. Okay. Let us check out this clip from Dr. Michael Greger.
There's lots of talk these days about detoxing, but talk is cheap. Our liver is actually doing it all day, every day, and if we want to detoxify, the best thing we can do is boost our liver's own detoxifying enzymes. And sulforaphane is the most potent natural phase 2 enzyme inducer known. It's one of our liver's detoxification systems. So where do we find this stuff? Broccoli, which produces more than any other known plant in the world. In micromoles per gram seed fresh weight, broccoli's number 1. Then kohlrabi and cauliflower gets the bronze. It's interesting. Broccoli raw, which is all gourmet, expensive, is it worth the extra price? No. Broccoli raw produces about 500 times less than broccoli. Broccoli is an exceptional source of sulforaphane, but at the same time, there's none actually in the vegetable until you bite it. You know those chemical flares or glow sticks where you snap them and two chemicals in two different departments mix and sets off a reaction? Broccoli does the same thing. In one part of the cell, it keeps an enzyme called myrosinase, and in another part, it keeps something called glucoraphanin. There is no sulforaphane, which is what we want, anywhere in the broccoli until some herbivore starts chewing on the poor thing. Cells get crushed, the enzyme mixes with the glucoraphanin, which is a type of glucosinolate, and sulforaphane is born, and the herbivore is like, ew, this tastes like broccoli, and runs away. The plant uses it as a defense against nibblers and noshers. Little did broccoli count on a little lemon juice and some garlic, maybe a little tahini dressing. It's our counterattack. Just make sure to chew, otherwise you won't get as much of that magical mixture. In this study, they had people just swallow broccoli sprouts whole, day 1, and got some action. Obviously, their stomach stepped in and did a little churning. But on day 3, when they actually got to chew their sprouts, you can see significantly more got absorbed into their bodies. Chew it or lose it.
Okay, let's take a look at another clip. First of all, before we go to the other clip, what did you learn about broccoli? You have to chew it to get the benefits. Raw or cooked, yes. Raw or cooked, all right? But many of us, we cook things till all life. It needs to be resurrected. I mean, we cook and cook and cook until it can't be cooked anymore. You're right? You steam it a bit and it still has that bright green color. That's what you want. You don't want it to have that dull green, soft, mushy, limp broccoli, right? You don't want that. You still want to be able to chew crunchy broccoli, right? All right. But remember, you have to chew it. So the main component that you want to get out of the broccoli is called what? Sulforaphane. sulforaphane. That's what the liver uses to detoxify. Okay? And so, another way to get broccoli and activate the sulforaphane is if you cut it in pieces and let it sit for a few minutes. If you just cut the broccoli and just let it sit by chopping it up, because you're chopping it up, it's almost like a chewing mechanism. And so now the different cells are broken apart, and now the sulforaphane could be formed in the broccoli. All right? Also, juicing the broccoli. Okay? By any chance, what family is the broccoli part of? Cruciferous. Cruciferous. Science shows us that the number one food against cancer, as far as a group, is the cruciferous vegetables. That's very important. So that's the broccoli, that's the cabbage. What else? Cauliflower. Kale. All right. Yes, that's right. All right. Arugula. That's right. So these are things that if you had cancer, what have you, these are foods you want to focus on. Cooked, raw, juiced, in various ways. All right. Now let's look at another clip from Dr. Michael Greger regarding detoxification.
There is one proven way to accelerate the removal of these toxins. Transfer them to your baby. Changes in blood concentrations of PCBs during pregnancy. Some women cut their levels in half. They just deposited the pollution into their child. So much so that a significant predictor of pollutant levels in young people is their birth order. The firstborn gets first dibs on mom's toxic waste, leaving less for their baby brothers and sisters down the line. Same thing with breast milk concentrations. This is how much you have in your breast milk after your first pregnancy, but by the next few, you've already passed about 20% along to your firstborn. And even the mothers who were breastfed as infants tend to have higher levels in their breast milk when they grow up, suggesting a multi-generational passing down of toxic pollutants. So what women eat now may affect the levels of toxins in their grandchildren. This, of course, raises the question whether one should breastfeed at all, given the levels of PCBs in human breast milk. Researchers have long debated the adverse effects of exposure to PCBs on children versus the benefits of breastfeeding. And the conclusion is breast is still best. Breastfeeding should continue to be encouraged. So the best thing we can do for ourselves and our families and their families is to lower our dietary exposure as much as possible.
Brothers and sisters, what you eat affects your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, down to the third and fourth generation. Why does that sound familiar? There's a branch in science, it's fairly new, it's called nutrigenomics. What did I say? Nutrigenomics is the study of the effects of nutrition on gene expression. How what you eat affects your genes. Do you know what you eat can turn off bad genes and turn on good genes? Or vice versa. Some of you may be familiar with the textbook called, from Dr. Neil Nedley, Proof Positive, right? He states in that book, many of us have heard this term, your genes loads the gun. Your lifestyle pulls the trigger. Just because a woman may have the BRCA1 or BRCA2 cancer gene, breast cancer gene, does not mean they have to get breast cancer. Just because great-granddad, granddad, and dad and uncles had prostate cancer does not mean you have to get prostate cancer. Many a times people have the same sickness and disease, and we're going away from genes now. Many a times individuals have the same sicknesses and diseases as their parents and other members of the family, not because of genes, but because they eat the same way. They learn to cook from Ma, and Ma learned to cook from Grandma, and so forth. This is why God's message to our church is so important. As I stated this morning, you are a special people. You know, if I was in a smaller church, I would have heard a louder amen. I know that. Church too big, that's what it is. This is serious. What you ate today, if you plan on having children, what you ate today will affect your children that you will have. That's potent. Never thought of that, did you? Pretty powerful. He talks about PCBs and so forth. And there's a poison, a toxin called dioxin. That's one of the toxins that mothers pass to the offspring. Dioxins is hard to get rid of, but easy to pass through to the child. This is why we need to live as healthy a lifestyle as possible so that we pass on the minimal amount of toxins to our children. Are you with me thus far? All right. Let's keep going here now. Let's go to the next slide. This is a picture of a portable sauna. I was talking about saunas that you can purchase for less than $100. This is something that you can have and travel with, all right? This is something you can have in your home. This sauna, it comes with a chair and also a foot massager, all right? Basically, you have this contraption like a kettle, and it has a tube, and the tube connects to this steam tent. You sit inside of it, and it boils the water, and the steam just goes inside the tent. And that's it. All right? It all depends on what you're doing. Okay? It all depends. If you're detoxifying, if you are on a cleanse, for example, some of you are about to start a juice cleanse, right? If you don't have hypertension, that would be a good time to be doing the sauna because it increases your detoxification that's going on while you're juicing. Okay? We talked about massages, and I believe you're going to have a massage therapist tomorrow. Very potent, very helpful, all right, in terms of detoxification. All right, next slide. We talked about activated charcoal. Activated charcoal is used in the emergency room. But let me tell you my own personal experience. We were doing a 3-week program at a church in Cocoa, Florida. And we were at the hotel, and my wife broke a glass by mistake, and piece of it fell and went into her slipper. And so she went to put her foot in her slipper. The piece of glass went in at an angle, right? And we couldn't get it out. What did we use? We used castor oil mixed with activated charcoal. By day 3, you saw the piece of glass just sticking out in the morning, and we just pulled it out. Activated charcoal is potent. One of the courses I took, the textbook used for that course was Dr. Agatha Thrash's book that her and her husband wrote. And I learned from Dr. Thrash that activated charcoal also helps take out excess hormones out of the body. And so, years ago, I was dealing with a woman who had hyperthyroidism. She was scheduled for surgery. She was going to have a thyroidectomy. In other words, they were going to take it out. All right? And with hyperthyroidism, you begin to lose weight, heart palpitations, sweating, hard to sleep. And she had that condition and was on medication for 11 months. Nothing was working. She was attending my parents' church at the time, and they were at a Wednesday night prayer meeting. And she stood up and asked the church to pray for her. That's when my mother found out what was going on with the sister. She told the sister, why don't you speak with my daughter and my son? Maybe they can suggest some things that'll help. How many of you have the book Natural Remedies Encyclopedia? You know that big, thick red book? All right. Basically, just went in that book, showed her what was recommended, but also I told her about putting an activated charcoal poultice on the neck. She was scheduled for surgery in a week and a half. She began to do it faithfully. She went in for a pre-op examination, and shortly after that, the doctor called her and said, I need to see you in my office, but didn't give her a reason, so she was very afraid. So afraid, she asked her husband, you need to come with me. Both are medical professionals, right? And the husband was not too, he didn't really believe too much in our health message, right? But he sat down there with his wife in the doctor's office, and the doctor, when they got to the doctor's office, the doctor was looking at the computer screen, looked at her, looked at the computer screen, looked at her, and said, Miss So-and-so, what are you doing? And she still didn't understand what was going on. She was still afraid. And the doctor said, 11 months you've been on the medication. I've never gotten these results. Your hormones, your T3 and T4 hormones are back to normal. What are you doing? And she said, well, I have my church praying for me. And I've changed my diet and lifestyle. So that saved her from having surgery. Simple things, brothers and sisters. Very simple. Next slide. Salt glow. Have you ever heard of a salt glow? This is where you take salt, right? Kosher salt, pink Himalayan salt. You mix it with a little water so it becomes almost like a paste. It comes a little clumpy or what have you. And you brush it against the skin. You brush it against the skin. It exfoliates dead skin cells. But not only that, it increases blood flow to the skin and increases the detoxification rate, increases and encourages toxins to be let loose through the pores of the skin. Okay. Next slide. Clay bath. Clay. Has anyone ever gone in clay? My sister here say, no, sir. Jesus used clay on the eyes. We saw that this morning. Clay poultice is still used on the eyes today. All right? Clay is just about as detoxifying as activated charcoal, but also it has some other properties. The next thing, hot and cold. Hot and cold increases blood circulation. Some individuals may have knee pain. You may want to do hot and cold. Testimony, my own brother, he had osteoarthritis in the knees, both knees. They told him he needed double knee replacement surgery. If I was Jamaican, what would I would say? No, sir. I said, brother, hold that thought. Let me come down and work with you for a couple of weeks. Because once you do that surgery, there's no going back. So let me tell you what I did. Came down and worked with him for 14 days. Those of you who were at the table when we were talking at lunch, I talked about juicing. The first few days, just loaded him with juices, tons of juice. All right? He decided to get off of all flesh. Flesh causes inflammation in the body. All right? Made all of his juices, salads, even salad dressings specifically geared towards his condition. The salad dressing, you know what? If you have a pencil or a pen, you can write this down. Let me give you the ingredients for the salad dressing I made. Had ginger in it. Had turmeric in it. Why ginger and turmeric? Good for inflammation. Ginger and turmeric are called natural COX-2 inhibitors. COX-2 inhibitors are medications that's used for pain and inflammation. Right? So that went into salad dressing. Of course, used lemon juice instead of vinegar. You use vinegar, you're going to end up with osteoarthritis or osteoporosis. You want to replace your vinegar with lemon. All right? Garlic. Garlic thins the blood. And why is that important in a situation with osteoarthritis? Circulation. The blood vessels that feeds the joints are some of the smallest blood vessels in the body. So if any blood vessels are going to get clogged up first, it's going to be those. All right? And so you have the garlic. You have the ginger. You have the turmeric. Added some Italian seasoning and whatnot for taste and what have you. Added a little honey, some water, and just a little bit of salt, and that was it. And onion. Okay? That was it. Also, we did hot and cold on his knees. Did that for 45 minutes to an hour every day. Remember I told you I worked with him for 14 days. By day 7, all the pain was gone. By day 7, all of the pain was gone. He maintained, and he was on basically about a 90 to 95% raw food diet for that amount of time. He was extremely diligent, and by the 9th month, when he went to get his MRI, the doctor was shocked because he never saw anything like this. Because most people think that cartilage don't grow back. That's what them say. But nah, sir. So let me get another mic. I want my sister. Sister Ching.
I'm saying we are told that they never grow back. And I can't remember the name of the something they say you're to take for it. But there's no not hormone. There's no vegan one. They all have bovine or bovine. Some people say bovine. That's cow.
MSM, chondroit, something and
But it
chondroitin.
starts
Yeah.
with C.
Glucosamine and chondroitin.
And everybody is saying that's what you have to take if you have joint problem because cartilage never grows back. Even when you go to the health food store, they'll tell you that, and the only thing you can buy is this product that has that.
We never even used it. We never even used it.
Question:
Mhm.
How long hot? How long cold?
Okay,
Is
yes.
it a heating pad, wet heat? What is it?
Okay. First of all, what I did, I boiled water, right? And I had ice water. So 2 containers, one very hot, one very cold. Now with the boiling water, I had on some gloves or what have you, and it was like a wash rag. I put in the hot water, and I aired it out a little bit so it can start cooling down. It cools down very fast. And then I had him touch it with the back of his hand and so forth. And he said, okay, I can take this heat. The hottest that a person can take it, that's what I use. And I leave the heat on for 3 minutes. 3 minutes. And then when the 3 minutes are up, I put on the ice cold one for 30 seconds. That's the one that everybody hates. You can hear a man, his voice go very high when you when you apply that cold, right? And so I kept going back and forth. 3 minutes hot, 30 seconds cold. 3 minutes hot, 30 seconds cold. 45 minutes to an hour. Every day I did that with him. And every time I did that, right after that, he felt so much relief just from that, just the hot and cold. Now, when you're putting all of the foods in the body that the body needs, and then you're increasing circulation in the area, all of those nutrients, you're getting more of those nutrients going into that area. All right? Let's say that a person does not have access to hot and cold and just can't do it. Something else that you can do, and that's one of the demonstrations we're going to do on Monday, cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper increases circulation anywhere on the body you put it. Okay? You can, a wet rag, and you sprinkle some cayenne pepper, and you just apply it to the area. All right? And let me see what else. There's a few other things during the week. We'll talk about it, what we did. And here's the red bag, sister. You see that red bag right there? That's the original enema bag. Yes, or they would call it a water bottle, heating, what have you. Hot water bag. Yeah, you remember those things, right? Back in the day, when you got sick, the first thing your mother and grandmother did was give you an enema. Cleansing. A lot of times, for example, my son, and you can see with your children or even yourself, when you start feeling a certain way, check and see when was the last time you had a bowel movement. Once the bowel movement starts lessening, you know you're constipated, eventually you're going to get sick. Chronic constipation can lead to things like hemorrhoids and then eventually colon cancer and other cancers. Right? So this is very beneficial. I know some individuals, Like, well, I don't know. I, But it is extremely beneficial. Do you know that the prophet of the Lord for 4 years, and you can look it up on your phone if you have the E.G. White app. You can look it up on your phone. Type in syringe. Syringe. Before there were enema bags, there were enema syringes. It's like a big syringe with a tube connected to it. For 4 years, Ellen White needed to do enemas to have a bowel movement until her lower spine was healed. Okay. Next slide. All right. At the bottom here, this is a machine that is used in clinics for colonic. This is an older one. There are newer machines now. The colonic is when they do irrigation for the entire colon. They're cleaning out the entire colon. And you see everything coming out that's in the colon. All right? The item above that machine where you see the green bucket, square bucket with the tube, and that other piece right there that you lay on, it is called a Kalima board. It is like a natural colonic, but it's gravity fed. And this is something that you can have as well in your home to take care of yourself and your loved ones. These things have been extremely beneficial to individuals that were going through major sickness and disease. All right. Also, fasting. Fasting is also cleansing. Right? Fasting has so many benefits. One of the things we've been hearing about for the last couple of years is intermittent fasting. Have you heard of intermittent fasting? Have you heard of the scientific benefits of intermittent fasting? Do you know that intermittent fasting is within our health message? 2 meals a day is best. There's nothing wrong with 3, but optimally, 2 meals a day is best. You give your digestive system a chance to rest. And after you eat that second meal, you do not eat until the next day. For example, you get up, you eat breakfast at 8 in the morning, right? You eat breakfast at 8 in the morning, and according to our message, we need to have at least 5 hours from when we stop eating to our next meal with no snacking or anything in between. Somebody said, oh boy. Somebody said, me can't do that there. And that's where knowing how to combine your meals, right? Having the proper amount of fat in the diet, all right? That can keep you for 5 to 6 hours between your meals. Okay? And so the second meal, if you finish eating at 8:30, what time would your next meal be? Somebody say 1:30, somebody say 2:30. After 1:30, that's 5 hours. 5 or 6 hours, right? So if you're eating lunch or your second meal at 1:30 and you're not eating anymore till the next day, that is intermittent fasting. And do you know that meal spacing and not snacking in between meals is important for cancer? Because of proteolytic enzymes. Proteolytic enzymes are enzymes that break down protein. But if we're one of those people that eat 1 meal a day, you know the people that eat 1 meal a day? They never stop eating. They start in the morning and they don't end until before going to bed, right? Yes, I call that the seafood diet. Everything they see, they eat. The nasa. And so when you eat between meals, those proteolytic enzymes that the pancreas makes is going to digest the food and not fighting against the tumors. So are you starting to see the science behind the message that God has given us? It's for our own good. Are you with me? So fasting affects the body mentally, spiritually, and physically. Diabetics. All right. Diabetics, it is important for meal combination. All right. With diabetics, they say diabetics should eat small meals a day and so forth, but you're messing up your digestive system. You're going to end up with acid reflux and then eventually ulcers, and possibly even can lead to cancer. So following even 2 meals a day, nutritious meals a day for diabetics is more beneficial and more helpful. It's just knowing what to eat and how to eat. Skin brushing. Skin brushing is just like the salt glow. It increases blood circulation, okay? And it encourages your skin to release toxins through the pores. Dry brush, that's right, right? And there's patterns and so forth that you would use when skin brushing and so forth. Juicing. Some of you are going to be doing a 3-day juice challenge. How many of you are going to join? I don't see many people, Sister Berg. All right. My sister keeps saying, no, sir. Do you know that's how I knew? That's how I knew there must have been a Jamaican that was part of NASA. That's how they got the name, NASA. Ah, it makes sense, doesn't it? They stole it from Jamaica. That's right, NASA. The next slide is one of the juice recipes that we use, especially when it comes to cancer. And we're going to go over it again when we talk about breast cancer and prostate cancer this week. All right. And this is a green juice recipe. Has dark green lettuces, romaine, endive, red leaf lettuce, green leaf lettuce, all right, escarole, beet tops, but not the mature beet tops, the very young beet tops, all right, watercress, red cabbage, green bell pepper, Swiss chard, and green apple. So when we work with an individual, right, somebody call us, maybe in another state, and we decide to work with the individual, we ask them, okay, we find out if there's a Whole Foods market. If not a Whole Foods, another similar market, farmer's market, where we can find the most amount of organic, nutritious produce. So, for example, when I come down here, I know at Whole Foods, I'm going to find almost every single kind of lettuce there is. So we put, in this green juice recipe, we may be able to have 21 different ingredients. All right? So we have romaine lettuce. There's Boston green lettuce. There's Boston red leaf lettuce. There is red leaf lettuce, green leaf lettuce. All right? There is endive. There's escarole. There's frisee. Right? Somebody say, what is that? Don't worry. It's there. Yeah, they have them at Whole Foods. All right. And this goes hand in hand with detoxification. Detoxification is important, especially when it comes to cancer, but not in a way that you may think. An oncologist can tell you that one of the most dangerous things for a cancer patient is the accumulation of dead and dying cancer cells in the liver. So a person can be eating healthy and drinking and so forth, and now these cancer is dying, but it has to go somewhere. Where is it going? It's going to the liver. So the liver needs to be detoxified. And so that's why applying all of the detoxification methods, and we didn't talk about coffee enema, but we will be talking about that during cancer, when we talk about prostate and breast cancer. Okay, very, very potent. All right, herbal teas, like everyone here knows Sarah C. Some of you had bad memories right now from Sarah C. Right? Just like at the table, we were talking about castor oil. Some people had bad memories of that. Right? But these are things that are very beneficial. Our parents and grandparents used to use it, but now you have people paying thousands of dollars going back to school to learn the same things that your grandmother showed you. Isn't that something? So things like Essiac tea, that's something we will discuss during the week as well. Very detoxifying. We're going to discuss it. And I'm actually going to have some tomorrow. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah. So detoxification is extremely important. Cleansing is important because without cleansing, it promotes sickness and disease. And once a year, every year, in the old sanctuary on the Day of Atonement, that was the day to cleanse the sanctuary. I need you to really pay attention. Whenever I speak to a Christian about detoxification, I stress to them that is the time to also do spiritual detoxification. While you're detoxifying, that is the time to start asking God to show you what things you need to take out of your lives. It is extremely important. How is the sanctuary cleansed? First of all, what is the definition of cleanse? Cleanse is to purify, to make clean, to remove filth or foul matter of any kind, or by any process, as by washing, rubbing, scoring, scraping, purging, ventilation. As to cleanse the hands or face, to cleanse a garment, to cleanse the bowels, to cleanse a ship, to cleanse an infected house, to free from a foul or infectious disease, to heal, according to Leviticus 14:4-8 and Mark 1:42. To free from ceremonial pollution and consecrate to a holy use, Numbers 8:15, Ezekiel 43:20. To purify from guilt, 1 John 1:7, to remove as to cleanse a crime. Major crimes have been done. We are all criminals, and Jesus came to cleanse us from our criminal guilt. Daniel 8:14. And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. Brothers and sisters, the sanctuary is almost cleansed. We don't have much more time before Jesus is done with his ministerial work of cleansing the sanctuary. We are to reflect what is taking place in heaven. The sanctuary is being cleansed up there. This soul temple needs to be cleansed down here. As you do a physical cleanse, ask the Lord what else needs to be taken out of your life, out of your home. My brother was giving the Bible study earlier before this session. And he was explaining, he touched on some of these things. There are certain things, brothers and sisters, that gives Satan and his angels license, legally, to enter into your home, whether you're Christian or not. Let me give you an example. I learned from a person that was a high-level witch that was in the occult, and he converted to Christianity. His family was responsible for bringing witchcraft to America. So that's pretty high. As a matter of fact, for those of you who remember, there was an old show, black and white, back in the 60s and 70s and early 80s called Dark Shadows. That show was based on his family. Exactly. He stated, and then I asked other people who were in the music industry, is this true? And they said, yes, even now. In all of the major music labels, there is a room in these labels, these companies, called the Temple. And when major artists, when they are done putting together an album, they recruit 13 local witches. They wait for the next full moon. When the full moon comes, they recruit 13 local witches, and they go into the temple and they do an invocation. Invocation where they pray and invite a spirit. When we do invocation here, we're inviting the Holy Spirit. We're inviting the presence of God, right? But there are some people who do not worship the same God we do, and they invite their God. And so that's what they do. And they ask this evil spirit that materializes to follow every album. And so the witch can tell you that you cannot cast a spell on a Christian, but a Christian can cast a spell on themselves by having these items in their homes. Whose handkerchief was it? That's right. Before I can even finish saying it, Paul's handkerchief, what happened? Heal the sick, right? Same thing on the other side. There's some items that we may have in our homes that does not belong to God, but belongs to the enemy. And once we have them in our homes, the type of music, the type of shows we're watching, the different things we invite. And sometimes, brothers and sisters, like Job, the enemy is allowed to make us sick. So sometimes individuals may be sick because the Lord allowed the enemy to touch you. And when you go through a spiritual cleanse, you can ask anyone. There's a number of pastors that do deliverance work, ministry, and so forth. When they go through the home, they're praying, they're asking God to show them what needs to be taken out. And these things have to be thrown away or burned. These items must be let go of. The sins in our lives must be let go of. We talked about it this morning. The unforgiveness, the hardness of heart must be let go of. Spiritual cleansing, brothers and sisters. Hebrews 8:1. Now the things which we have spoken, this is the sum. We have such an high priest who is set on the right hand of the throne of the majesty in the heavens, a minister of the sanctuary and of the true tabernacle, which the Lord pitched and not man. Leviticus 16:29. And this shall be a statute forever unto you, that in the 7th month, on the 10th day of the month, ye shall afflict your souls and do no work at all, whether it be one of your own country or a stranger that sojourneth among you. This is talking about the Day of Atonement. For on that day shall the priest make an atonement for you to cleanse you, that ye may be clean from all your sins before the Lord. Right now, we are living in the antitypical Day of Atonement. That's what happens in the most holy place. Right now, Jesus and his Father are in the most holy place. So our lifestyle down here is supposed to be a lifestyle that reflects the Day of Atonement and the most holy place. Prayer and fasting like we've never done before, brothers and sisters. We talked about it this morning, how some of you, all of you said you believe God can heal certain things right now. God can heal birth defects and so forth, but we never pray as if we actually believe these things. Before I left the church, I left the church for 16 years. I used to say when I was younger in the church, how come I'm reading these things in Scripture and I am not seeing this same power in our church? But when I came back and I began to do this work for the Lord, I began to see, wow, the power never left. God's church has a lot of power available to it right now. But God's people, we're lacking faith right now. We're lacking faith. We plan more than we pray. We should be praying more than we plan. Leviticus 16:33, and he shall make an atonement for the holy sanctuary, and he shall make an atonement for the tabernacle of the congregation, and for the altar, and he shall make an atonement for the priest, and for all the people of the congregation. 34, and this shall be an everlasting statute unto you, to make an atonement for the children of Israel for all their sins once a year. And he did as the Lord commanded. Isaiah 59, 1 and 2. Behold, the Lord's hand is not shortened, that it cannot save, neither his ear heavy, that he cannot hear. But your iniquities have separated between you and your God, and your sins have hid his face from you, that he will not hear. But I'm here to tell you, brothers and sisters, if you plead with the Lord, repent, confess, put away all sin, God will hear you. God still hears his people. Psalms 51:2, wash me thoroughly from mine iniquity and cleanse me from my sin. Verse 7, purge me with hyssop and I shall be clean. Wash me and I shall be whiter than snow. Brothers and sisters, God can cleanse us. It's just a matter of, do you believe it or not? Some of you are you've been dealing with illness for many years, just like the man this morning, 38 years. But in one instant, God can heal. My favorite quote in all of the Spirit of Prophecy is this: talk and act as if your faith were invincible. Talk and act as if your faith were invincible. Do you believe that God can get rid of that glaucoma? Do you believe he can get rid of the cataracts? Do you believe he can get rid of the prostate hyperplasia, the prostate cancer, the endometriosis, the fibroids, the breast cancer, hypertension, diabetes, arthritis? There is nothing that God cannot do. I'm telling you. This woman called me in 2020, February 2020. And she sounded like this. She said, Brother Joseph, I got your number from. She can barely breathe. Stage 4 non-small cell lung carcinoma. Lung cancer. By the time she called me, one of her lungs was already taken out. She only had one lung left, and it was full of tumors. I said, Sister, do you believe God can heal you? She said, yes. Said the first thing is to make right with your fellow man. Anyone that has wronged you, you need to forgive them. If there's somebody that you hurt, you need to ask for forgiveness from them and then make right with God. I shared some of the simple things that I shared with you now, and some of the things I'm going to share with you this week. And in 5 months, she left a message on my phone. Elder Joseph, I have a praise report. And she was talking normally. My doctor said those large tumors and all of the cancer in my lungs are gone. This is what God can do for his people in 2025. But do you believe he can do it for you personally? That's the thing. We have a personal Savior. Make him yours. One of the things that a number of people in the occult would say is that Christians, the way we get Christians is because of their mentality. They want a Savior, but not a Lord. They want Jesus there to save them, but they don't want to really quite follow Jesus all of the way. We need to allow Jesus to rule in us, through us, over us, every which way. Time is short, brothers and sisters, and we need a cleansing personally. We need a cleansing corporately. We need cleansing in our families. Families need to be reunited. Do you believe he can do it? That's the question. And so with that, I'm going to open the floor for questions now. If there's any questions or comments, I'm going to give you a microphone.
Yes, my brother. How do you use the charcoal for the osteoarthritis? Is it orally or topical? And the cayenne pepper. How do you use it?
Um, it was the cayenne pepper that we had used. No, it was topically. Charcoal? No, I didn't use any charcoal with the osteoarthritis. Yeah. Okay. And the cayenne pepper, remember, it's if you can do it as well, but if the person didn't have access to the hot and cold. Okay.
So if somebody had hurt their leg, um, and it's very hurting them, what would the thing hurt? Would would the what would you use to fix it?
Where on their leg? Is it the joint or the knee? I would use the hot and cold. I can also get some cabbage, right? Get a leaf of the cabbage, beat up the cabbage, and then wrap it there. All right? Thank you for your question. Any other question, comment? Yes, over there.
You mentioned the sauna, but then you said something if you have blood pressure.
If you have hypertension, you don't go in the sauna.
Okay.
What caused your feet to swell? You know, you have your feet
A
swollen.
number of things can cause your feet to
And
swell.
what can we do about it?
A person would have to have a diagnosis. But kidneys can cause issues with the kidneys, issues with the lungs, issues with the heart. They all can cause edema in the feet. Okay? So you would have to get checked out and find out what's going on. Okay?
And you checked it out and they don't find anything.
They don't find anything?
They don't.
Yeah, you would definitely need a consultation. Okay? Yes, Sister Burke is making up a consultation sign-up sheet for Monday through Thursday of this week. All right? 30-minute time slots from 4 to 5:30. So you can see Sister Burke want to sign up for a consultation. Yes, my sister here.
So I eat one meal per day, mostly after 12, and I'm still getting fat. Why?
You eat one meal a day? Why? Say that again? You're too lazy to cook. What are you eating? Oh, one meal a day. Is it that one meal throughout the day? Oh, okay. Just making sure, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I mean, it can be a number of reasons. You would have to go and get checked out to see what's going on. Okay? It can be a number of things going on with you. It can also be like hypothyroidism. You said you have that. You see? Hypothyroidism, when that's under-functioning thyroid, it's hard to let go of weight and you start putting on weight. All right? All right. So, are you one of those that have the big, thick red book? Natural Remedies? Okay. If you want, well, you can sign up for a consultation, or a number of the people have that book. You can just go in that section and it'll tell you exactly what you need to do, what you need to eat, the herbs for hypo and hyperthyroidism. Okay? But if you need, I'm available. Okay.
Hello. I had a brain tumor that left me with extensive nerve damage, um, along with neuralgia in my eye and peripheral neuropathy. What can be done to treat that? What
Are you on a whole food plant-based diet?
can I do?
Why you laughing?
Trying to be,
Why you
but
laughing when I ask that question?
because I'm not 100%.
I'm messing with you. That's okay. Listen, I'm one of those people. I'm completely honest. I've never worked with that, but I have never worked with nasal pharyngeal cancer before. When I was called about it, and spoke with the individual. 5 months later, it's gone. I believe, and just me, just because of the God we serve, that yes, He can heal that. But right now, as I'm standing right now, I can't think of anything right now. But when it comes to the neuropathy, I typically use cayenne pepper. All right? And we're going to talk about that when we talk about diabetes and diabetic neuropathy. We're going to be dealing with diabetes. I'm thinking Monday. That's what my plan was. We're going to be dealing with diabetes on Monday. Monday. Yeah. Okay? And we'll talk about neuropathy at that time. But I'm sure God has something in His medicinal armory that can help you. I just don't know what it is at this time. I would have to research for you, okay? You're welcome. Yes.
High blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
About that, please. What's the best thing? How do you treat that?
Okay.
The best way to go.
First of all,
about it.
I don't treat any conditions.
But your opinions
Yeah.
on what
Mhm.
you
Yes.
if there's any.
People can have hypertension for different reasons. Somebody may have hypertension because of stress. Somebody may have hypertension because of years of working at night. Individuals can have hypertension because of eating a lot of oil, even if it's coconut oil and olive oil, because you're using so much. All right? And animal products increases inflammation in the body. There's some individuals, once they got off of the animal products, hypertension gone. Some people, once they forgave their husband or whoever they needed to forgive, hypertension gone. So for you in particular, I wouldn't be able to tell you unless I sat down and spoke with you. But things that we do use for hypertension, the garlic, cayenne pepper, and if you're not on medication, grapefruit. Matter of fact, that's how my father-in-law got over his hypertension. When he got checked out, they diagnosed him with hypertension. But then he knew that one grapefruit 3 times a day was just like taking medication 3 times a day. And he was able to reverse it along with eating better and exercise.
And was he on any form of medication?
No.
Because I am.
No, he didn't get on medication. Something else, and your kidneys is an organ that helps regulate blood pressure as well. Okay?
Is that a good thing?
And one of the things we use to flush out the kidneys is corn silk tea. You know the corn hair? You know the corn hair? Yeah. A handful of that in 32 ounces of water steeped, and you drink it like water. It helps flushes out the kidneys. And if the hypertension is due to issues with the kidney, hypertension may be regulated or come back down to normal. But it all depends on the cause of your hypertension.
It just came on suddenly a year ago. No warning. No warning.
Mm.
I'm on medications.
Okay.
But,
Now,
don't like being on it.
when it comes to medication, regardless of the illness, change of lifestyle and diet. Because we don't mix natural remedies with medication.
I don't eat meat. I don't.
Okay. Do you exercise?
I need to walk more frequent. I need to walk more
Okay.
frequent, and there's no excuse. I got to start doing
Okay.
that. That should help a bit. Should
Definitely. All right. Also, sometimes, and we have two hands up here. Also, Also, increasing the amount of water. When we do not drink enough water, our blood becomes thick. All right. That can also contribute. Okay. You don't really drink water? Okay. Oh. So you drink a liquor water? No, sir. And you asking me what you say? We're going to talk, Mama. We're going to talk, all right?
Yes, yes, Doc. I heard you talk about just now forgiveness.
Yes.
I would like to find out from you. Say that one person has 5 different complex complaint, and the next person have the same 5 different complex complaint. You diagnose it. They both have the same, and one has been treated by you, and they has been healed, and the next person has been treated with the same, but has not been healed. What would you say is the cause of that?
First of all, I'm going to tell you we have more success with non-Adventists. I'm just going to let you think about that for a second. We have more success with non-Adventists than Adventists.
To my knowledge, could I give a little explanation on that?
Okay, sure.
One has been healed and the other has not been healed. I believe that we had, some of us as Seventh-day Adventists, as a disease that is incurable, and it's only God himself can heal that disease, is forgiveness. Forgiveness. When we carry in our frontal lobe hatred and all the rest of these diseases that we could think about, unforgiving, then there is no medicine that can heal those diseases, only God of himself. And that's one of the biggest diseases that the church has been suffer with, is forgiveness.
Unforgiveness. Yes, we have come across that. We have come across that. We've come across some individuals. It's pride. For some it's something else. Yeah. Whenever someone tries conventional and natural for things like hypertension, diabetes, and there's something really wrong. And so you have to go deeper. Maybe it's mental, maybe it's spiritual. All right? Just like Miriam, we spoke about Miriam this morning. We have medication for Hansen's disease today, drugs that we use. Hansen's disease is the new term for leprosy. There is no drug that would have healed Miriam. Because, Remember, she did not eat pork or the American armadillo, which carries the bacteria, Mycobacterium leprae. Yeah. Miriam did not eat flesh that carried the bacteria that causes leprosy. So there's no conventional, no treatment, no natural treatment either that would have helped her. Only dealing with the sin that she committed and getting forgiveness for that sin. Same thing with us as Seventh-day Adventists, Sister Burke.
Is there a charge for consultation?
Yes, there is. Somebody laughing. But it's going to be heavily, listen, heavily discounted. And we'll talk about it after Sabbath. Both heavenly and heavily.
All right, I have two questions. For the intermediate fasting, what's a good meal plan to follow?
What happened?
What's a good meal plan to follow? For example, to keep you for the 5, so that you don't want to eat again until 5 hours. So what's a good meal plan to follow?
Okay. So with your first meal, first of all, your first meal needs to be the heaviest meal of the day. I think you all would say heavy. Right? Big. Mm-hmm. Right? Your protein, your carbs, the fat. That's where you can have fat like avocado, coconut, nuts and seeds, right? Or even let's say to end the meal, you can put some coconut oil on the bread, right? You can make like a homemade garlic bread to add the fat. I'm just giving you an example. You can put use a teaspoon of coconut oil, sprinkle a little salt, sprinkle a little garlic powder, onion powder, you got some garlic bread, right? You're using the coconut oil as fat. You can do the same thing with avocado. You can make an avocado sandwich. You can use nuts and seeds. Anything, any good healthy fat you can use at the end of the meal. Fat takes longest than any other, the protein and carbohydrates to digest. So at carbohydrates and protein, it's about 4 calories, where it's 9 for fat. So it takes a lot more energy to burn, and so it's going to hold you longer. And so for some of you who want to lose weight, even using fat can help you lose weight if you use it properly. Okay, because it's going to hold you. So what time do you eat in the morning, typically?
Sometimes like 8 or 10, but I start eating like lunch, dinner like 2:33, and then that's it.
Okay. One of the things you want to do, you want to eat your meals the same time every day. You want to be as consistent as possible. Otherwise, you may start ending up with acid reflux. Okay. That's one of the things I dealt with personally, because I was doing the 5 small meals. I was, back then I was bodybuilding and everything, and I wanted to burn fat. Yeah, it helps burn fat, but then the digestive system had an issue. Eat the same time each day in the morning, and then the 5 or 6 hours later, you eat your next meal. Since you're eating 2 meals a day, right? The second meal can be just a little heavier than the second meal of somebody that eats 3 times a day. You understand?
Second meal can be heavier than a regular person eating 3 times.
Somebody that's eating 3 times a day, right? They're eating 3 times a day. but you're eating 2 times a day. So you may be able to eat a little bit more calories. You can eat a little bit more to hold you, because after that second meal, you're not going to eat until the next day. Okay?
All right, the next question for the hot and cold therapy, is it 1 feet? It's just, if, for example, if it's 2 feet earthing, do you do it on the 2 feet or just one?
No, the hot and cold is at a area, particular.
Just the
For
cold.
example, I was dealing with osteoarthritis of the knees, and so it was on the knees.
If the person is diabetic,
No, if the person is diabetic, that's something else. We didn't talk about hot and cold for diabetes. Okay? But on
Thank you.
Monday, we will talk about using cayenne pepper to get rid of diabetic neuropathy. Okay? You're welcome.
That you eating like for 1 hour.
Say that again?
If you're gonna eat 8:30 and you're having a full, all of those things, nuts and all these things together, that means you're eating within a 1 hour's time frame to finish all of that.
You eat big food, huh? You eat big.
Well, if you're gonna be having, say, some porridge, bread, then nuts, and I mean,
What happened to your fruit?
to eat fruits and some, that's a lot to eat in 10, 15 minutes. So that's gonna be
10, 15 minutes.
Right, you can't eat all of that by that time.
So that's how much time
so
you
you're
usually.
gonna go 1 hour to eat all of that.
Hold on. You see, you said something very important. You said 10, 15 minutes. Is that how much time you usually set aside to eat? Right. Yeah, depending on your job, your work, that's kind of difficult. Okay? That's kind of difficult. And that's another reason why your first meal, where you can take a little bit longer to eat a little more. And I understand some people don't like breakfast. It's hard for them to eat breakfast, but that's something we have to get accustomed to. I had to get accustomed to it. It's a change in lifestyle, and it does not happen overnight. But God works with us. No.
Small portions
not
of
small
each
portion.
for the morning.
No.
So how are you gonna get a balance?
It's not
breakfast?
small portions, right? You're eating according to what you can eat. All right? So you're satiated. Right. For it to be balanced, you need to have the protein. You need to have the carbohydrates. And you need to have the fat. But you also need to have raw food. You don't like raw food. I see that right now. You don't like the fruits. You don't like the vegetables. But not the vegetables. That's a fight. I see we got work to do, Sister Burke. But that's all right. That's all right. That's okay. It's where you're starting, okay? And you're going to get to where your goal is, okay? It's just that you got to sit down, right? You got to think about your schedule, all right? And actually have a meal plan put together for you. But that is something you have to follow. It is up to you to make the effort to implement. Yes.
Can you explain why that breakfast is important? And an example of what really should be in it. I don't think we heard that well.
Okay.
And the time.
Okay. When you wake up in the morning, typically, if you're not one of those people that eat in the middle of the night, do you wake up in the middle of the night to eat? Okay. Do you eat late? Okay. Sometimes. Eating late right before going to bed? You know, some folks do that, but we have to get away from that, right? You may have issues with eating breakfast in the morning, eating late, and not to mention the nightmares. Y'all laughing, it's true. You eat late, it's going to affect your dreams. You're going to say devil attacking you. No, it's your food attacking you. Right? But it's important. Breakfast is important because breakfast is breaking that fast, right? And you need to replenish and put in the body the energy that you're going to need throughout the day, all right? And when you eat the heaviest meal in the morning rather than later, it's going to be easier to have a balanced weight on your body, right? And you have more time in the day to digest and work that food out, okay? And then eating the second meal, when you're eating the second meal, it's a little less heavier than the first because not long after you're going to be going to bed if you go to bed on time, right? You understand? And so your body is going to be operating more efficiently. You're going to be bouncing up out of bed and not getting out of bed sluggishly. You're going to be more focused. The brain fog starts to go away. I mean, this meal plan, this type of eating that God has given us affects us in so many different ways. And science have not yet proven all of its benefits. Okay? What could breakfast look like? During the week, we're going to be doing, for example, certain smoothies that we use for different illnesses. All right? I would have a smoothie bowl. I would make a smoothie and I would put different fruits, whole fruits in it. So I am not just drinking something down, but I am chewing. Do we know why? Aids in digestion. When you chew, you're mixing up the food with the amylase enzyme that helps break down the carbohydrates. It is important for digestion to chew. So you can't really live off of just smoothie and soup unless you have something to chew in it, right? And so my breakfast may be a smoothie bowl with a little bit of granola, homemade granola on top and what have you. Also a handful of pumpkin seeds. You know, when you get over 40 and 50, you know, man, we need pumpkin seed, right? Also, so that's the fat. It's also some protein at the same time. I may use other nuts. Another morning, it may be a fruit salad, big bowl of fruit, different fruits, and a small bowl of porridge. Okay? You're feeling a little better now, aren't you? But you need the fruit. Oh, you space it out. No, you need to eat it at one time. Mm-hmm. So no. So what you do, you lessen the amount of porridge, and you know you increase the fruit. All right. Okay.
Yes, sir. You talked about the benefits from the sauna.
Sauna, yes.
Let's say you don't have that access. Is there any benefit, or what benefit do you get from Epsom salt bath? Like I fill the bath with hot water with Epsom salt in it.
Brother, that is relaxing. Not only that, it does help pull out toxins and so forth out of the body. That is something you can do. I'm glad you brought that up, right? And it's not only Epsom salt, there's other salts now that are mined from other places that have different nutrients that are very good as well. But that's something what you just said, that's very good.
So I just did my blood work probably 2 weeks ago, and I got my results back saying that I lack vitamin D, which I'm always in the sun. I walk around my complex by the lake for 40 minutes, like every single day. So, what can I do? I know vitamin D lack in a lot of black women. So, what do you suggest?
Okay. Very good question. For 40 minutes. Every day, 40. Long way. Yeah. Yeah, long. I understand. You walk, you run sometimes. True. Okay. My complexion, your complexion. Oh, I was going to ask you that question. Please give it a mic. They need to hear this.
And I wear my sunscreen. And we do need sunscreen. Yes, we do. But I use sunscreen. Sometimes I use 30 SPF or 45 SPF. So, did she mix up my blood work with someone else?
The church just answered your question. First of all, with us, with our melanin, we need to be in the sun every day, a minimum of 45 minutes to an hour and a half to get the proper amount of vitamin D. But then when you put on sunscreen, you block it. Did God make you with sunscreen? So man make a product and they say you need it. They want to sell it. You need to put away the sunscreen. Yes.
I wear the sunscreen because as well, when I do like skincare routine, I don't know if you guys are into skincare, but I am. So some of the stuff that I put with my sunscreen, like my moisturizer, it does require to follow up with a sunscreen.
So she don't know about the coconut oil, the castor oil, proper diet, the salt glow in all of this. The aloe vera on the face as a face mask, the clay mask. Eventually, first of all, vitamin D deficiency is linked to a number of cancers, including breast cancer. It increases your risk of breast cancer by 222%. Vitamin D deficiency increases your risk of breast cancer by 222%. You need, and it may be something else. There's going to be something else that pop up if you continue with a low vitamin D level and using the sunscreen. All right. Yes, my sister.
I just wanted to mention my routine most mornings. When I get up, I have a cup of warm water with some lemon juice. Then I would have a green juice. And most days, not all days, I would have a smoothie.
So by the time I'm finished, that's like about 11:30, 12 o'clock, because I go for a walk first. Then I come back, I have my devotion. I'm not an early morning riser. I wake up maybe by 8 o'clock and start all of this. So then you find most of the time, by the time I eat, it's like 3 o'clock, 3:30. That's when I have my dinner. And I think that's a good routine for me. I don't know about other people or if I need to change.
What time do you eat your breakfast?
As I said, I would have a smoothie about 11:30.
11:30. Okay.
Yes, because I have the lemon with the hot water, and then after I have a green juice.
Okay, you may just want to increase by 1 hour at least before you eat your second meal, because that's about 4 hours in between, just to give your digestion a break.
So I could go down to like 4:30.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Yes. And then we have one up here.
Quick question for a person who rise early as 4:35, start working by 6:37. For me, that's my hour, and I can't eat my breakfast that early.
Mhm.
And sometimes, depending on what is going on at work, 10 o'clock, I still can't eat my breakfast. Sometimes I take lunch to work with me, and I'm back home with it. No breakfast, no lunch. I need um, a little advice. For example, when I get the opportunity, probably about if I make it by 11, what's the best meal to have that time?
Wow.
The best product to start my day on.
Do you work in the hospital?
It's a health
That's what I thought. Oh, trust me, I know. Healthcare, firemen, police officers. We live the least amount of time. Too much stress. Too much stress. One of the things you have to pray and ask God for is to put you in a position where you can have a position where it's less stressful. Do not close God's hands. Do not tie God's hands and think that your position, where the situation that you're in, oh, this is what it has to be. It doesn't have to be that way. He can put you in a much better position. Let me give you an example, because that is too stressful there. You need to eat. You need to eat regularly, and stressful jobs can bring stress home. It's going to affect the rest of the family. They laughing too. Yeah. Right? And so stressful jobs cause problems for the family, causes problem for the family and the church. Right? Exactly. So ask God to put you in a yes. Okay. Yes.
What?
Ask God to help you with your situation, because you're not going to be able to thrive and last long in that type of stressful environment. But as far as the best food, first of all, when you're under stress, there's a number of nutrients that the body depletes very quickly. Vitamin C is important for your immune system, right? The more stress you're under, the more vitamin C your body needs. It just gets rid of it. It's gone. You're right now, you're working, you're in a stressful position. You may be able to take 6,000 milligrams of vitamin C right now, and it does nothing to your belly. You go on vacation and you take 6,000 milligrams of vitamin C, it sends you to the bathroom. Because you're relaxed, your body does not need all of that vitamin C. Stress depletes our vitamin C. God forbid, get into a car accident. At that point in time, with all of that stress and what's happening, your body's going to need vitamin C. A lot more. It's going to take a lot more to reach bowel tolerance. All right? And so the stressful job is affecting your immune system. And this is one of the reasons why when someone is dealing with cancer, we try to express to them, try to reduce the amount of stress in the body. Because there's a gene called the ATF3 gene that stress causes cancer to metastasize. So stress affects our health in a large way and in ways that we do not know. And I think there was one last question here before we go into Vespers. No, I'm
Yes.
sorry. He had his hand up. You're going to be the last one, brother.
What would you recommend for someone who is suffering from sciatica?
I think she said sciatic nerve.
Yes.
There are, and I think you all are going to have a chiropractor tomorrow. All right. There are certain stretches. That's one. Get rid of inflammation in the body. And also, do you have any injury in your back and so forth? All right. That may need to be resolved as well. All right. And let me ask you something. Are you on a whole food plant-based diet? Not fully. But we're working on it, right? Amen. Amen. One of the things that has helped with people that we've worked with that have sciatica is the hot and cold, the cayenne pepper, the stretching, the exercises, getting on a whole food plant-based diet, which is anti-inflammatory. Okay? And if someone has it because of the diminishing disc, right? Eating foods that assist with arthritis, osteoporosis, and so forth, the foods that are high in salt, these foods can help regenerate the joints and the bones and so forth. That can be of help for you as well as it has with others. But you must try to get on a whole food plant-based diet.
Yes, sir. In connection with low vitamin D.
Yes.
I am advised that I need to take
a supplement?
Yes, because it's low. I don't use sunscreen. I spend most of my time in the sun. I work at times in the sun. I asked my doctor, is there some other reason why I am not getting the vitamin D from the sun? Because I spend most of my day in the sun. I have not gotten an answer yet. Is there some problem in the body that causes not to be getting the vitamin D that the sun produces?
Do you have any kidney issues that you know of? Okay. Do you have any other hormonal issues that you know of? these are things that needs to be checked because your kidneys affect vitamin D.
When they do the blood test, they tell me, oh, you have good, it's good. Your report is good. I said, so how am I sick? If my blood is all that good, that's my question to my doctor, right? I know I have enlarged prostate. That's about it. Can that be a reason?
That wouldn't be a reason, but the lack of vitamin D can contribute to enlarged prostate. Okay? But we're going to talk. Okay? All right. So, thank you so much for your participation, your questions, your comments, and thank you so much for the invitation here at Sunrise SDA. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at the health fair, and we're going to be here all week, starting at 7 p.m. Monday, right? 7 p.m. All right? Monday through Friday, and then we'll be here again next Sabbath. All right? God bless you all.